Don't say Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers. Blues Brothers get it.
Here we go.
Blues Brothers is the perfect movie.
This is going to happen.
Blues Brothers and then everything else.
So my total rating. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Ramble.
We've got a movie review today of The Last Duel, and we have a lot to say about it.
A little late, though. This movie came out 2021, and though I don't think we're the only ones that haven't seen it.
That would be correct. This is Ridley Scott's newest film, and it had his biggest flop ever on an opening weekend. It grossed $5 million on opening weekend and $30 million total by the time it was out of the movie theaters, and it cost them $100 million to make this movie.
Is that domestic or like worldwide?
Worldwide. Made $30 million, and it doesn't deserve to be that low.
No, it definitely doesn't.
It's a great film.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Fantastic film. I loved it much more than you did.
Yeah, I'm looking at my score like it has a great score. It's a quality score, but it's definitely significantly lower than yours.
It is going to be lower because I loved this film. We're going to talk a lot about it. I want to say this as well.
My goal is to bring your score down. I want to give you the credit. Like, I'm going to be hitting it harder than it probably deserves.
You know, and we'll see if it works because I have a lot of praise for this. Here's what Ridley Scott said, by the way, for why it did so poorly. This is a quote from Ridley Scott. Huh. Scott blamed the film's box office failure on millennials. This is what he said. I think it boils down to what we have got today are the audiences who were brought up on these effing cell phones. The millennials do not ever want to be taught anything unless you are told it on the cell phone. End quote.
I mean, I agree with Ridley Scott's point in general.
These damn cell phones.
Well, no, I mean, I've been doing that myself. I've been trying to reduce the fact, like, it is interesting seeing myself when I'm isolated, and it took me a while to actually develop it, of my concentration. Like, when I'm isolated in a room for 8 hours, and I don't have any cell phone, no computer, no nothing.
He's talking about work. He doesn't go to jail.
Yeah, I know.
Every now and
not
then.
That. But when I first started trying to read in that scenario, I couldn't focus for longer than 30 minutes.
It's tough because we're so focused on.
But thing is, I had to do that every day for it took about a month, and then I could actually sit down and read for about 8 hours straight, just no breaks other than like water.
Yeah.
But I just kept reading, and now that I've actually had access to my computer now, my attention span is significantly less. I get distracted pretty darn easily.
It's super easy to get distracted.
I agree with them. Now, why exactly the movie failed, that could be marketing, that could be just the genre itself.
Yeah, I don't agree with him on why the movie failed.
No, I agree with his statement. I don't necessarily connect that with why the movie failed.
Yeah, so first I would say advertising. A lot of people I talked to about this movie didn't even hear about it. They're like, oh, I kind of heard about that, but they didn't have any sort of expectation or hype about it because they Last Duel's out there. It didn't really come across to a lot of people.
Well, think about like the pitch of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a right out of the gate pitch that like a bunch of young people are going to want to watch.
Of course not, yeah.
But maybe for history buffs, for people that like Ridley Scott will watch it, but yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't have that wider appeal. It's
not super easy to market to families either. So
no.
Kids typically bring box offices to great success. Mm-hmm. So that's why you see like Marvel movies doing really well. That's why you see like any Pixar movie that comes out does really well.
With the exception of Deadpool, which was a success despite that fact. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but this has some brutal scenes, so you're not going to bring your family to go watch this movie.
Well, okay. Mild spoilers, because I think this is like kind of trailer stuff.
Okay. Well, we're going to give a spoiler-free review first.
Sure. But the plot of the movie centers around the Last Duel, and that duel centers around rape.
Yeah.
That's a hard market. That's hard to market.
You're not going to have millions of people going to want to watch an intense movie about rape. You're just not. So that's one of the reasons advertising, the topic itself. Mm-hmm. Also, during that time, it was 2021, so maybe COVID was at a higher peak, and also Dune was just recently released. So I think it kind of it had just a little gap from Dune being released. So a lot of people were going to see that, not The Last Duel. So it had a lot of things going against it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That, and with the advent of streaming movies online.
Exactly.
A lot of new movies releasing just right to your streaming device.
Spot
yeah.
on.
So
maybe people are like, oh, I'll wait 30 days or however long it is until the movie comes out.
A combination of factors of why the movie failed. But
yes,
in the short term, it shouldn't have failed. It's a very good movie.
Fantastic movie. When he says very good, he means fantastic.
So, okay, of our scoring system, which for people who haven't seen, we have a scoring system based on 5 different categories: emotional impact, characters, plot, dialogue, and cinematography.
Yep.
Specifically for movies.
Let's get right into it and just say, like, would you rate this movie, each category? You want to go category by category? Then we'll give our total.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for emotional impact, I rated it an 8.5.
An 8.5. Okay. For emotional impact, I rated it a 9.25.
Okay. We'll get...
Was that an eye roll?
A little bit.
Was that a little side eye?
A little.
Let's calm down, okay? All right.
But, okay, we'll get into it in the spoiler section. We'll get into why our scores are this way.
For sure.
Characters, I have it at a 7.5.
Sorry, say that again?
A 7.5.
I gave characters...
good. That's good.
It is good. It is good. But I gave characters a 9.3.
All right.
I gave it an excellent.
I have a feeling I'm going to lower that score for you.
I'm going to try to stay strong.
I thought about some things.
Yeah.
And my score was higher. And then I had to think about it and writing and combining my thoughts for this video. I lowered my score because I was like, man.
Okay.
I had to.
I'm going to try to stay stubborn enough to my score, but you'll probably sway me.
I admire that. Like, that's I'm always very proud of someone who's like notoriously stubborn.
I mean, you might prove me wrong about my rating, but
you don't never admit when you're wrong.
Especially on camera.
Admitting you're wrong is weakness.
Okay, what'd you give plot, the third category?
This was a really high point. I gave it a 9.
Okay, I gave it a 9.2. Mm-hmm. So pattern here, I've given everything like a 9.2 to 3 so far.
Yeah.
Dialogue. What'd you give dialogue?
Dialogue, I gave a 7.
7. I gave an 8.9. This is the only category that gets that sub 9. And I will defend all of these ratings.
8.9, sure.
What did you give cinematography?
Gave that one the 9.
I give that a 9.5.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your total average? What's your rating of The Last Duel?
8.2.
8.2?
That's a solid score.
That's good. So you really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, no. So score would be like 5 would be not bad, not good, just down middle of the road.
Yep.
6, good. 7, great. 8, yeah, it's really amazing. 9 is pushing it to like, I'm going to rewatch this movie like frequently, almost every year.
9 is excellent. 9 is beyond excellent. And I gave
then 10 is the perfect movie.
Right. So Lord of the Rings. Only Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings is the only one there.
Nothing else.
To be fair,
don't say Blues Brothers.
Blues Brothers get it.
Here we go.
Blues Brothers is the perfect movie.
This is going to happen.
Blues Brothers and then everything else.
So my total rating, 9.23. The Last Duel, I give it a 9.23. That's my official stamp on it. It may be. We watched this last weekend, so it's been a week of thinking about it and being able to rate. And my ratings have changed like 3 times. It went up, and then it went down a little bit, then went up again. And then before this podcast, since I knew you were going to be so harsh, I was like, okay.
How do you know I'm going to be harsh? I could have increased my score.
Fair. But that's our rating for it.
To be fair, I'm a negative Nancy, so fair enough.
It's much needed, though.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So,
little spoiler-free review. Let's talk about what this movie's really about.
Sure. Well, it's based on the Last Duel of France, a book released in 2004 by, who was this guy? Eric Jaeger. True story of a trial by combat in medieval France, which, interesting. Like Last Duel of France. Neato.
Actually, technically, it wasn't the very last duel. There was like 1 or 2 others, but this was the last significant duel. So that's why it's called The Last Duel.
God, that's lame.
Am I bringing the movie rating down for you now? If I say
that? Making it even lamer.
Nah, there was some little skirmish, whatever. There's some lame duel that happened in 1500 that doesn't count.
Why doesn't it count?
It just doesn't count. It's not fun. It's not a fun story like this is.
You know what? I like never let. This is some other person's quote, but never let the truth get in the way of telling a good story.
That's a great quote.
I have a feeling that's Doctor Who. I don't know where, but I think that's Doctor Who. But anyway.
Okay.
Critics actually rated it an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, and audience an 81.
So you're right where the audience is. Yours was an 8.2, so an 82-ish%.
Oh, hey, look at that.
Yeah, you're right there.
I am. Yeah, I'm not taking the controversial opinion.
No,
here.
you're right down the road.
Right down the road.
So I rated it obviously higher than that. IMDb was a 7.4, but they typically have lower ratings than Rotten Tomatoes does, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. So this movie is based on the book. The book, it's a true event. This happened in the 1300s, was it? 1300. So during the 100-Year War.
I'm the wrong person to ask about historical dates.
Same here. So this is going to be inaccurate probably. But this was this event actually happened during the 100-Year War in France around that time. This is like a little bit, historically speaking, it was some decades before Joan of Arc was was born and did her thing that we can't even explain. But she existed and she was cool. Like
she was neat.
She was.
Fought for the Lord. Burned.
I'm sure.
Stake.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Was she? I didn't even know that.
I thought she was burned.
This is we're off. We're historically so off right now.
You know what? It hasn't negatively affected my life in any way.
But yes, this is medieval France. They're in the 100-Year War, and it's a true story. Being completely spoiler free about this, you obviously have your main cast is Matt Damon, Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, and so it's Jodie Comer or Cromer. I don't know her last name.
I think it's Jodie Comer.
Jodie Comer, and she steals the show. She is phenomenal, and also Ben Affleck. How could I forget Ben Affleck?
I would almost say Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck seems almost out of place in the movie.
It's a hair, isn't it? It's the blonde hair.
He just looks kind of like Ben Affleck. I don't know.
Really?
But personally, I think Matt Damon really does well.
Yeah. So for people who haven't watched the movie yet and want to, we're both highly recommending it. Would you give it a high recommendation?
It's should watch movie.
Yep.
But I think we should leave it there before we get into spoilers on there. Keep this a little short, and we're going to go deep into it.
Yeah, I really want to get into this. Please watch the movie. All right,
so
spoilers.
Go ahead, watch it. Spoilers. You've had your chance. From here on out, spoilers.
It's time.
All right, right into it. Emotional impact for me. The reason why I gave an 8.5, there are moments in the movie that I was really excited for, and there was definitely some cinematic tricks with the POV that really just got me excited of like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And it got me to connect with some of the characters.
Right.
However, I was taken out a little bit by a couple things that kind of got my took my emotional enjoyment out of it a little bit.
Okay.
So let's go with the beginning first. Is I really like the shift of POVs of it's the same story told 3 different times, and you get to see the character's own self-perception each time.
This is inspired on, there's a movie, Rashomon,
in
the 50s, right? Have you seen that?
I think I saw it in like high school or something.
But it has a similar story structure. But yes, go on, sorry.
But I really liked that aspect. It made me excited when the next part came. What was interesting is how Jean
de Carrouges.
Yeah, Jean de Carrouges.
Matt Damon's character.
Yeah. Jean gets worse and worse as each POV goes along. Adam Driver's character, Jacques. I don't know French.
Jacques Legris.
Sure. There we go.
I don't even speak French. I was impressed with how I pronounced that. Was that good? Was that pretty good?
Sure.
Want me to say it again?
Ask the not French speaker. Did that sound good?
I'll say it again. Jacques Legris. I screwed it up the second time.
Anyway, how his perspective, even in his own perspective, he's not really that much of a good guy. But here's where the emotional impact kind of like waned a bit. Is Marguerite is. I was really interested to see her perspective, and then when her perspective came around, I had a lot of empathy and sympathy for her. But as a character, a little perfect kind of thing. Like it was kind of it was kind of weird how when her husband leaves, like, she's quite literally, like, she's really great. She runs the whole estate better than her husband. She's perfect with animals and the finances and languages and
the horses.
Yeah, like, no faults and, like, heroic strong and just, and that'd be one thing. I don't know, that character and something else maybe would work well, but you got to see in the other POVs of how they see themselves and, like, them degrade. Like, you see their faults, and she was the only one without faults, and so it felt weird because I thought it was a movie about self-reflection on how when you look at yourself in the mirror, you don't actually see the whole story. And so both of the characters, you get to see them deconstructing and how, oh, they actually have serious faults with themselves. And then she comes, and there's none of that. But I understand, like, she is the rape victim, like, she is the ultimate victim in the story, so I guess it makes sense. But I don't know. It was just a weird...
I can see what you're saying there, and I see, oh yeah, she's suddenly the best. Like, she can do everything correct for the manner. But
I sympathize,
that didn't bother me
I was
so
not
much.
as intrigued with her character. Where I was interested in the other characters, her I was only sympathetic with.
Gotcha. I mean, she was there for one purpose in the show, that she's making she's taking the brave, heroic stance of in medieval France, where it's completely, she could die for what she's about to say. Her story is very focused on that, and I don't know if they're really focused on, oh, she's not the best with horses, or, I mean, what do you add in there?
I don't know what they
could
do, but I just know that it was odd to see one after the other of, oh, here's a character deconstructed, here's a character deconstructed, and then hers.
That took your emotional impact out.
A little bit. I was just like, I just wasn't interested in her character. I didn't find her interesting or compelling. She was sympathetic, but not compelling, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I would say, so emotional impact wise, would you agree that the build up to the duel itself and the duel itself was, I was on the edge of my seat watching that. I was so excited to get to that moment. And by the way they constructed the story, by the time the duel actually happened, I was half going like, if are both of them gonna die? Who am I exactly? What I want her to live, but Matt Damon's character, he's not the best dude either.
Bad. Like, you wanted them both to die at the end of the duel. That's the thing. You're like, yeah, I kind of want Matt Damon and Adam Driver to both die. The
story convinced me that I didn't know what the outcome would be. It convinced me to that point anything could have happened. Mm-hmm. That was very powerful. And I kind of let's mix in here emotional impact and characters, because I need to talk about these characters, specifically Marguerite as well. Marguerite, I think what makes her a fantastic hero in this movie is, we talked in another podcast about mirroring.
Yeah.
And so what makes a great hero/villain mirror, meaning you have Frodo Baggins and you have Gollum. The opposite of Frodo and what he could turn into is Gollum. He could he could become insane and corrupt, and the ring could overtake him. He could be like Gollum. You have the opposites like Luke and Darth Vader. You have Luke, the definition of a Jedi. And
Kaladin and Amaranth.
Or
Moash.
Exactly. And what you have here, I mean, this isn't to that level. I'm not comparing this to Star Wars, but it has the mirror in here, which is Marguerite, the hero, and then you have, I'm not even talking about the villain Adam Driver, like that he's another villain too, but just I would say she's an antagonist, her mother-in-law. So Matt Damon, Jean de Carrouges, his mother, she is such a vital character in this story, because even the small scene we see that throughout the story, she's just mean to her. She's mean to Marguerite, and she's very passive aggressive, and we see this, and then
we see that in Marguerite's perspective. We do not see that in the other two, though.
No, because Matt Damon, Jean de Carrouges, that's his mother.
Oh yeah, no,
exactly. That's why we don't see it.
The point I'm making is it's not a lot of build up, but that's the nature of the story.
Sure. But what's so beautiful about that is you see the mirror there, where you have Marguerite, and then the mirror of her is the mother-in-law, who was raped herself, admits she was raped herself 20, 30 years ago and did nothing. And the line from Marguerite's perfect. It's like, and look what something about like, and look how that turned out. But not better than that dialogue. But
I think it was something like and the price. Look at the price you paid.
Exactly, and that's so significant because it shows if our hero doesn't make this heroic action, she turns out like this mother-in-law. That's just a beautiful little mirroring thing that I think's kind of minor in the whole scheme of the movie, but was so powerful to me when watching it. And so Marguerite, her character, that's what I really liked about how they portrayed her. And I will agree, it's not a perfect 10 out of 10 character. It's like I'm giving a lot to the acting as well of her. I was so impressed with Adam Driver, with Matt Damon, even Ben Affleck. And you know who's even someone that was a standout who was maybe on screen for a minute or two?
Alex Lothar. The King.
Oh, the King, yes.
Yeah.
Charles the Mad.
It was fun.
What did you think about him? I thought his little grins.
Oh, he looked like a child king of like, inexperienced. I liked him a lot.
Yeah. And what did you think about the characters in general? You gave this, what, a 7? 7? Was it mainly because of Marguerite?
No, I mean, I don't think anyone else is super memorable. All the side characters are kind of, Not like, I didn't particularly like Ben Affleck's character. I didn't think he was, I thought he looked very much like just Ben Affleck doing Ben Affleck things. Let's see. Matt Damon's character, interesting. He just got worse and worse as the story went on.
Did you like that?
I'm not sure.
Really?
I wasn't rooting for him. I wasn't rooting for anybody. Even Marguerite, I was just like, just live, please. You deserve to live. You're the only decent person here other than the back taxes man. The peasant who pays his back taxes. Oh my God,
how could you forget? The peasant who pays his taxes.
No. Doesn't pay his taxes. Yeah. He pays his back taxes. Like, that... How the king, the Lord, forgets about his taxes, and he goes, no. This isn't just this month's taxes. No. This is the previous month's. Your Lord forgot, so I'm paying my back taxes.
That's a man with high morals and standards. Man, he's the hero he's the other hero of the story.
But when it comes to characters, it was just each POV was cool, and I just didn't like how it showed this is Jean's POV. This is Jacques or Adam
You want
Driver.
me to say it again? I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I won't.
No,
you don't deserve it.
Adam Driver's POV, and then it came to Marguerite's, and it just like faded to like the true POV.
Yeah,
and it just like it got the wind out of my says. I wish it was more her POV and not like the true POV.
I agree.
I wish it was left in big because that was the fun of it. The fun of it is, all of these are a mix of perception and truth, and so that's the fun of it. When the movie tells you, this is the real one, it's like, oh, okay.
I agree with you. Walking out, I hadn't plot like a 9.5. It's now I put it at a 9.2. But one of the reasons was I didn't like how they highlighted the truth. Even she's the victim here, and she was raped. At the same time, having it ambiguous to having the viewer have to go, okay, this part's true, this part's true, this part's true. And why I think it would have been even more powerful is even from Adam Driver, even from Jacques Degrees' perspective, it's still rape. Even from his perspective.
Yeah, even from his perspective, he's the bad guy.
I don't think you have to say the truth to get across the message that he's in the wrong here. He was in the wrong whichever perspective you looked at. But it's just what was so great about those scenes is you have the subtlety. In this perspective, you have the subtleties here and there. You have them everywhere. Oh, here and there, everywhere. Okay. You have them all over the place. For example, during the scene when she's going up the steps, you remember this? And from Adam Driver's perspective, she takes off her slippers going up the stairs. Like they're...
I guess I think that was my favorite moment in the movie, is seeing the difference of Adam Driver seeing her kind of kick off the shoes, like just slip out of them as running up the stairs.
Yep. So in his head, he's like, oh.
And even I'm going like, why did she do that?
Yep.
Like because I'm going, she is sending some, from his perspective, she is sending mixed signals of like, I'm going to, wait, why are you kicking off your shoes? Why are you only telling the guy, the servant to leave? And then you get to her perspective, and you see she tripped, and there's a subtle movement.
Told both of them to leave.
Yeah, and told both of them to leave. And when she's going, she trips. Adam Driver doesn't see it, and she starts going up, and he looks at the shoes. So you see just that slight difference of he didn't see her trip.
Yep.
He just saw the shoes.
Yep.
And so that subtle difference was really cool to see.
It's fantastic.
So you're totally gonna clip this part, but like that whole rape scene, like the lead up to it, is definitely like the highlight of the movie.
Rape is the highlight of the movie.
It's the most important scene in the movie. It's the whole thing the whole movie's based on. And there's a lot of subtle differences of really good camera work. It's one of the scenes where the dialogue is nearly identical, and it's just down to acting to show the perspective.
It is the point of the movie, though. I can't disagree with you. I mean,
yeah.
It's that, and it's the duel. That's the focus of the movie.
Yeah.
And even the build up to that scene as well, where you have the difference when they're at the party, and from Adam Driver's perspective.
Well, I think we're getting now into plot. So I gave plot a 9.
I gave it 9.2. So we both agree here. Plot's excellent.
It's really good. However, my criticism is I wish there was more scenes that overlapped between the POVs.
More scenes that overlapped.
Because there's stuff where the scene where Adam Driver and Matt Damon Matt Damon and Adam Driver meet again and become friends again.
Yes.
Or become friends. And that's the scene where Adam Driver falls in love with Jodie Corner's character. And you see parallels, but Adam Driver gets his whole scene that's just his POV of him talking to her.
Yep.
And you see the flirting. I would have liked to see Jodie's character where it's identical dialogue and it's just acting. That shows different. I wanted more of those. There was plenty of scenes though where the dialogue is almost like completely different. Like it's similar, but just different dialogue or different scenes where I wish it was far more identical dialogue and scenes with different acting.
So I see what you mean. I mean, they did have that in that scene though, where you have Adam Driver looking at her and she's smiling at him in a certain way, but then you see it from her perspective. She's smiling in a more not like a, oh, I love you way. I like you a lot. I want to.
She's trying to mend bridges.
It's a forced smile from her perspective. So you do have that. I don't know if you could have the whole scene copied again with another. It's tough because the movie's already 2.5 hours.
I guess so.
So
hey, I still gave it a 9. I just wanted more of those type scenes because I thought it was the best part of the movies.
Okay, that's fair. The plot though is this structure. When did you realize it was going to be each perspective? Because we walked in not knowing anything about the movie.
Actually, I think I knew it was going to be 3 POVs.
You did walking into the movie?
Yeah.
As soon as I saw chapter 1, and then said Jean de Carrouges perspective, or it didn't say perspective.
I remember reading or hearing something about, it's 3 different perspectives on rape.
Yep.
And people going up and like a perspective on rape,
yeah. But plot, you gave it a 9. Gave it a 9.2. It's just it's really, really well constructed.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's tight. I wasn't confused, unlike our friend. It kept only what it needed. It was really clean.
Yeah.
So I quite liked that stuff. Moving on to dialogue though. I gave it a 7.
I gave this an 8.9.
It's just not that memorable of dialogue. It was fine in the moment. It didn't feel like Shakespearean English, but didn't feel like France either. So I don't know. I know they're speaking in English, but I wish they had more French songs. Wish they did something to kind of more identify with France. Like I honestly thought it was England for the longest time, and it was France.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. No,
after you found out his name was Jacques.
No, I knew it's French, but I just when watching it going,
you felt it was.
Oh English. Yeah, these aren't English people.
Okay.
So
I didn't give it a 9.
I can't really remember any line from the movie.
You remembered the Marguerite line pretty well.
I know it was about, but I don't remember the actual line.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you that some of it might have been, I don't want to say cliche, but that medieval dialogue is hard to do and pull off without it being super cliche. Like, us dost thou knight, why slay thy dragon? You know, it's tough to stray away from the typical kind of Shakespearean language there.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to do. It didn't feel too cliche to me. The dialogue was pretty solid, but the reason why it's also so high for me was the way the dialogue was spoken by the characters, the emotion that was put behind it, the emotion behind Jodie's her dialogue, especially during the rape scene, just was. I felt so uncomfortable.
I liked her stuff in the trial
as well. Yeah, I mean the way that the characters speak, and all, likewise with Adam Driver. Adam Driver's character, the way he spoke, just so as if he's never in the wrong, and just him lying through his teeth, but still doing it so convincingly, and just the way they spoke and the way they read their lines was, to me, stunning. I was just so enthralled by it, and when I'm watching this, how did you? I felt so uncomfortable. Obviously, during the scene, and not just the scene, they do it twice in the movie, which I thought was incredibly necessary. I read a lot of people though were saying like, "Oh, why did you have to have the scene in there twice?"
Oh, that's the whole point of the movie, is it going twice? Like, that's, if you didn't have it twice, why have the movie? Like,
exactly, you missed the other perspective.
The whole point is showing his perspective and then hers.
Yep. It's uncomfortable, but
and
movies that make you feel like that, I mean, that's what you look for in a movie. If a movie makes you feel that uncomfortable, or let's say it's a comedy and you're laughing hysterically, let's say it's a horror and you're so scared, the fact that you're so uncomfortable and they built it up like that just shows you the movie did its job to perfection.
Fair enough. It's just, I didn't feel that way through it the whole movie.
Okay.
You know.
Which parts did you not feel that the most? Was it early on?
Honestly, as soon as Adam Driver's perspective came out, it was my emotional connection to the movie kind of went down.
What? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like anybody at that point. And then Marguerite came, and I was like, I sympathize with her, but like I didn't really connect with her too much because she's an object in the first two perspectives, because that's how those characters see her. They see her as just a sexual object. And then her part comes along, and she's smart, she's funny, she's witty, she's everything, and also beautiful. And then she's a rape victim, and I sympathize with her. But I just don't find her a very interesting character. Like, I'm not looking, I don't know.
Okay.
I just wasn't as invested, I guess.
You mentioned earlier Matt Damon's character.
I just wanted her to like leave and like, oh, please just like let everyone else die, please.
Not the peasant. Come on,
the peasant lives.
Peasant dude.
Her and the peasant can live. Everyone else just die.
I guess why I rated even characters really high as well is Matt Damon's character, Jean de Carrouges. I absolutely loved that they showed me somebody who was the hero for about 40 minutes of the movie. They showed me a hero. They showed me Aragon. They showed me like, name another medieval guy. They showed me a hero for 40 minutes, and I was going, wow, this guy loves his king, his wife. He's got, there's this rivalry, and I was absolutely enthralled. And then you see Adam Driver's perspective, and you go, oh, maybe he wasn't telling us the whole truth. He's got, he
kind of a dum-dum.
He also didn't say some of the lines he said maybe, when they're charging initially in the first opening scene, it wasn't him that led they didn't all rally behind him. It was Adam Driver's character that got all the soldiers to back up Matt Damon's character. But then you see, from Adam Driver's perspective, you start questioning things, and by the time Marguerite's perspective comes in, you just, it's like seeing you ever think your father is just perfect, and then one day you just see, oh, he could be wrong, or like you see flaws.
Personally, no, but
okay, maybe good. My dad just has flaws. No, but you ever look up to somebody and you just go, oh, they're not right 100% of the time, or it's someone that does something that you go, oh, my perfect image of them, like meeting your heroes. If we were to ever meet Brandon Sanderson, this would be the one exception. He is perfect. So that was a bad example. But let's say we were to meet someone else, like, I don't know, who wrote The Powdered Mage. He was Brandon Sanderson's student, right?
Brian McKellen.
Brian McKellen. Sorry, Brian, but I'm pretty sure you're not perfect like Brandon Sanderson. So Matt Damon's character, me loving him and him being a hero, I was there with him and I was like, oh, this is his story. Because I really came into this movie not even knowing it was about rape. Not even knowing there was 3 perspectives. So maybe I came into this like a completely, unspoilered. And when I started watching this, I was like, oh, this is another, okay, Matt Damon, give us this hero's journey type of thing. And then I was turned for the twist.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, in total, rating for the movie was a 9.23. In total for you, it was like an 8.2. 8.2, so.
Solid score.
We both loved the movie. I just loved it a little bit more. And maybe I'm still riding that high of
maybe so.
Just watching it.
I don't know. It's, for me, I didn't really get behind any character. I wasn't like just, oh my God, what a fascinating like character. Like, they didn't feel realized, especially so. Marguerite was not a really like whole character. She was a victim, and I sympathized. I'll say like. Again, ultimate sympathy, but that doesn't make... I wanted more of her as a character. Like, what is she like? What is her faults? What are her dreams? Like, what? What about her? Like,
it's a good point that she is like has no flaws.
Yeah. Well, not just that. She's just kind of one-sided. She's there to be a victim, and she's nothing else. And I just kind of... Honestly, her POV could have used some perspective of... What does she want to do? What are her goals in her life? Does she want to run the her fiefdom? Does she want to actually study and like read? I don't know. Go to university. Go to school. Does she want to be part of the church? I don't know. I didn't know what she wanted.
You wanted a little bit more.
She wanted to like not be raped. That's effectively it.
I mean, she wanted to stand for. That's a pretty heroic thing, though. Of I'm going to be burnt at the stake. If
yes and no, she didn't know that. And she came in that situation and then found out. Oh, you're actually gonna be burned at the stake. And she's like, "You didn't tell me that's what this whole thing. Like that's the consequences." So she didn't know that was at stake, and then she was already too deep in.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And then she actually, told her husband like, "Yeah, now that I have a child, like." I probably made a terrible decision because I don't want to leave this child alone in the world, like because of you.
That was very powerful, and the fact that Matt Damon's character, Jean de Carrouges, after winning the duel, kneels in front of the king
first,
doesn't even look at his wife, like that's so powerful though. Like it makes you go, oh, he won, but he won,
not her.
But not her. He's making it look like his victory, and it's just not to console your wife who was the rape. It's just, man, I loved how much I grew to hate him by the end of the movie. But,
oh yeah.
Hey, I think that about wraps it up. Unless, do you want to throw in another comment in there? What else did you think about The Last Duel?
No, I think it was good. I think people should go see it.
Yep.
I do want to ask anyone who makes a comment down below. What should we watch next? I'm personally thinking we should watch Moon Knight.
Okay.
I know first episode's out as a time of recording, so try and check that one out.
Awesome, yeah. And hopefully next movie we watch, you'll be more excited than I am because we need to, I can't be the one that's just galvanizing for this heroic movie.
Give me a good British comedy, and I will simp for it.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.